We are live testing 1 2 1 2. We have 0 viewers right now, but I'm sure that will improve in the next few minutes. Welcome to the safe house on this beautiful, what is it, Saturday afternoon at 6 o'clock
Gorgeous.
Pacific Standard Time. Um, don't know what time it is where everybody else is, but it's 6 o'clock here. So, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing pretty
You?
good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
What's
Listen,
up,
guys.
stranger? Long time no see. Fuck sakes.
Literally 30, not even 30 seconds, 5 seconds ago. You guys, we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff, but before we do, we bought remote control cars today. Listen here. Listen here. They had a bunch of different kinds, and I got this good little cute little white one. What's it called, babe? Is it a McLaren?
Yeah,
McLaren?
the McLaren. Let me see if I'm gonna grab it real quick.
He's gonna grab it. Oh my God, it was so much fun. We took him across the street and like just went ham with them for a little while.
Vroom.
Hey, vroom vroom. There she is. There's my girl. There's my girl.
Hell yeah.
And then of course he got the big honking big old car. His car like literally ran my car over.
Man, here we go with the dog again. Man, go lay down. Go lay down now.
We have, for those of you who don't know, bear with us. We have a pit bull who's still technically a puppy. He's not a year old yet.
Like,
and he is a whole handful. Yeah, he is a whole handful.
Man, dude, he keeps chewing up all our remotes. Chewed up. Matter of fact, here it sits. Chewed this one up. This is a $45 remote.
Yeah.
Because money rolls in like that. Super
right.
awesome.
Money rolls in like that. Well, see, that's what happens when parents leave their little baby pups by themselves. They get all angry and resentful.
Start locking his ass up in a cage or something. Look, I just broke it even more, for fuck's sakes.
So we did a lot of shit on a lot of things. I have to start minding my language too. I have to be more ladylike, right? To reel it in a little. There's a lot to talk about today, right? There's a lot to talk about, like just within the last couple of weeks in terms of all the stuff that's been going on.
Hey, before we get into this, right? Because I know that this is just like, I just want to know if I can address one thing before we get up into the important matters. I just wanted to address a trivial matter, right? And somebody asked me what I thought about Miss Alexis Faith and how she got this whole downward spiral for Mia going, right? Listen, first of all, right, I don't have anything good to say about that woman. I don't make it a business of victimizing, women or whatever. I don't really get into the shit talking aspect of things, but I'm going to tell you this. I know a narcissist when I see one. I know a woman that can't never be wrong. Probably, I'd be willing to bet you a dime to a bucket of shit has a multitude of failed relationships, whether they're friendships or whether they're romantic or whether they're familial, right? That woman, and then she's quick to victimize people. Now, here's the thing that I caught, right, is she's quick to victimize people, right? And she's quick to arm her followers or whatever, right, to try to attack others, right? But other than talk, I don't see her doing any of the legwork. I don't see her doing nothing to defend herself and protect herself. You want to give me some feedback on this, or you want to stay out of it altogether?
Oh, I'll give you some feedback. She's just someone who enjoys attention and unfortunately gives herself much more credit than she actually deserves. Listen, don't flatter yourself. She is not the person that brought all this, chaos around Mia. Mia brought this chaos around Mia.
Legit.
Mia brought her own bullshit down. Mia, was the one that created all of the stuff that you're seeing come to fruition now in terms of people understanding and seeing her for what and who she truly is, right? Alexis Faith didn't have anything to do with that. Alexis Faith had time on her hands. That's all she had. She was bored.
Right. She had and then she had the mental wherewithal to destroy somebody else. You know, we've not, there's one thing about us, like we've seen all the bad things that have been said about us because we do have friends that keep us up on game, right? Like people that get inboxed, you guys think that you're just inboxing people that don't care nothing about us. We're the ones that end up with the text messages of the lies that you spread. Defamation is dead ass a thing. And I'm dead serious about filing on as many people as I can, like, because we got so much against so many people. Cyberbullying is a crime, first and foremost, right? And then like the links that everybody went literally lied. Like, and that's how I know that we got a locked case, right? They're gonna try to spin it like, oh, this is public information. Absolutely not. That's not public information because it's all lies. You won't see anything that they said about me published anywhere as far as like the parameters of what I've done or whatever, right? Like you won't see, because that was all lies. If they was to publish what the transcripts had published, right, it'd been a horse of another color. You know what I mean? But people like Alexis Faith, Mia Staygold, Mama Bird, they think that there's somebody. They have this false sense of like authority or something like that. Like taking for instance, Mama Bird's approval to put the red handprint over, you know, or whatever it was. I didn't see it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it. Somebody told me about it, so I didn't see it. Can you address that? Because I don't know the
So
details.
I know a couple weeks back there was a whole controversy happening around a queer day of action. There was like for Pride Month that was starting. There was a whole movement or like a TikTok campaign that was gaining momentum in terms of, you know, taking this day of action, right? And one of the things that we started to see a lot of queer, creators do was put the red, you know, they did the whole hand over the mouth, the MMIW symbol, right, for the movement of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit. And so, of course, the Indigenous community, the Native community took issue with that, right? We are already practically invisible in terms of social movements, right? And so them taking or, you know, co-opting that symbol for that particular cause became a problem. And for whatever reason, and I don't know where it came from, but it was said, and there was some things, I guess it come out that Mama Bird was the person that green lighted the use of that symbol for that particular cause or day of action or what have you. First of all, you know, these issues that affect our communities, there is not one person gatekeeper that gives green lights and authorizes, you know, actions or doesn't authorize actions, or, you know, it isn't something where you call someone on the phone and say, hey, can I use this? Is that okay? Because we don't, Oja and we don't speak for everyone. You know, no one speaks for everyone. So,
But I will say this though. Let me say this though. I'll tell you who you don't speak for is you don't speak for victims and you don't speak for the victims' families.
Right.
And for you to think that you're so audacious that you can make a statement or give you could think that you can occupy a space to even think about giving that kind of permission should say something to you and how you think about our people. You know, I don't know, man. Like that's just like that didn't sit with me good. But
right.
let me leave that somewhere else because that was just insignificant. Let's talk about Roe versus Wade and how that's going to start impacting Indian country. And people need to listen because this is going to impact Indian country.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, baby.
Yeah. So, you know, the huge fight with Roe versus Wade, the decision was a huge deal because obviously it gave women individual autonomy over their bodies, right? And the idea of overturning that particular piece of legislation spills over into Indian country in a multitude of ways, right? Because if they control the woman's body, in this case, particularly speaking of Indigenous women, we know what happens when the government controls Indigenous women's bodies, right? When the government controls Indigenous women's bodies, we get sterilized, you know, during routine medical procedures. We get, you know, medications or whatever to inhibit or not inhibit, but to make it so that we can't procreate, right? So that we can't get pregnant. And all of these things when the government and, you know, large corporations and these political agendas become priority over individual autonomy and our ability to decide for ourselves what is good for us, right? There's no way that that was not going to spill over into tribal sovereignty and issues that affect tribal sovereignty. One of the big arguments that we saw come out of this overturning of Icwa was that because tribal land is its own sovereign land, right, that they would become hubs for women who were in need of these services, right, of these procedures. And overturning Roe versus Wade and now all these other issues in terms of tribal sovereignty, with Icwa coming underneath the knife now, or coming up to Scotus, and with Halen, was it Brackeen v. Halen, right? Which is the case that's going to be coming up before Scotus. All of these things are tied together. So in terms of Roe versus Wade, it's the disintegration of the indigenous family. It's what they've been trying to do since first contact. They've done it in a multitude of ways. Roe versus Wade happens to serve that purpose, or the overturning of Roe versus Wade serves that purpose within indigenous communities, because again, it's overreach of the government and the state in terms of women's bodies and how that affects us is a whole thing, right? Because Native families as a whole have been in the line of fire for the government since forever, so yeah, I mean,
and then the thing is though, like when we talk about Icwa, a lot of times people don't look into the case, right? There's a group that I've talked about before called CERA, CERA. It's a anti-indigenous or anti-Indian movement out in Montana, right? It's a hate group. And they've been fighting against us and against our sovereignty. They've been fighting for, I don't know, man, for a number of years, like a significant amount of years. They've never been able to win a case. It's always been, fairly fruitless and pointless and stuff like that. And I've talked to some attorneys about this, actually, some tribal attorneys, about how they felt were our babies in danger again, were our women in danger again. And they felt pretty secure that, the United States government wouldn't overturn Icwa, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be willing to bet you they wouldn't have said the same thing about that Roe versus Wade thing. That's what concerns me. And if they can find Icwa unconstitutional, then they're gonna find our sovereignty. This not gonna be. We won't have any sovereignty anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. So that decision, that Icwa decision, is going to be monumental in terms of bringing our sovereignty into the future, or setting our sovereignty back decades, right? Setting our sovereignty back to a pre-AIM United States, right? I don't particularly want to live in a pre-American Indian movement United States. And if that decision were to come down that they overturn Icwa, that's exactly where we would be. So the two issues that are going to be before the Supreme Court in terms of the Icwa legislation are actually the most important issue is that they're trying to deem Icwa unconstitutional on the basis of racial discrimination. And we all know that that's not possible, because nativeness, indigenous is not an ethnicity. It's not a race. It's a political designation, right? And so when you word it that way, when people try to assign the word native or the word Indian or the word, indigenous to a race, that's where they're getting the foundation, right? They're getting the foundation that indigenous is a race. I'm Mescalero Apache. You know what I mean? You're Anishinaabeg, right? Someone else is Diné, and someone else is Cree, and someone else. So that would be more in line with, race, ethnicity, right? Your people. We're not Indian or native is a political designation. So being declared unconstitutional on the basis of racial discrimination, there's no standing for it, because it's not even a race. However, they will try to do that, and they've been trying to do that. Here's the other thing too: the importance of keeping indigenous children with indigenous communities and indigenous families is because those children deserve to be tied into, to have connection with their cultures. with their traditions, with their teachings, with their ceremony, with other family members potentially, you know. And I am completely convinced that if Icwa is overturned, we will have a 60 scoop again. That will be the order of the day in terms of, you know, Indigenous children who are, you know, found to be, listen, before Icwa, I think it was something like 1 out of 4. I don't know if the statistic was 1 out of 4 or 4 out of 6 children were adopted out of Indigenous families to non-Indian families, right? If you look at the story, I was looking at the National Indian Child Welfare Association, which is NICWA. That's an association that was created. The actual president of that association had her own, you know, story, her own journey with trying to adopt 3 siblings. I believe they were 3 siblings. And she went through the entire process and was told, sorry, they're going to go out to another family that, you know, a non-native, non-Indian family. They're going to go to them. Well, she ended up doing a whole, you know, filing some type of an appeal, having an investigation done. It was deemed that, yeah, they didn't, you know, the adoption agency or the state didn't follow through with the Icwa legislation, right? They didn't follow through with the proceeding per Icwa legislation, but they still placed those children with that other non-Indigenous, non-native family. She ended up getting a call about a year later that didn't work out, and those same children were now available for adoption again. And she was absolutely livid. You know, these babies went through that whole process, apparently went through some pretty severe abuse in that household that could have been avoided, you know, had Icwa been followed. And so, you know, it's huge and it's important. And I'm seeing a ton of people in the comments, which is awesome.
Let me address it. Let me talk about this from a couple of different aspects, right?
Right.
Let's talk about like the root of the problem. And then we need to talk about like what anybody's going to do about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
First of all, I personally believe that money is always going to be the root of this particular problem. I got a friend, she's retired from as our Icwa director on the tribe, right? But I was talking to her about it, and she was telling me about how the adoption industry is like this multi-billion-dollar industry, and it legitimately is. I looked that shit up. $10 billion, right, for an adoption agency. There's another chick that Maya and I used to know that used to be able to speak on this shit fairly well. That Jacqueline chick, right? But this is like another shot at genocide. Like this is going to be another shot at genocide because with no more Indians, right? I just watched this video about that the big oil industries are the cause of this, right? This, and I believe that, man. When you guys start to dig into shit, right? Look into Sarah. Look at how they've tried so many different types of ways to attack our sovereignty, right? But they held no ground. This is the first time that they've had an opportunity to really come at our sovereignty, because that's what's being challenged right now, right? I'm telling you, man, like we need to do something about it. Like people need to be educate yourselves, like learn about this stuff, like not just through us, but like through your own digging too, because you know, just between you and I'm high most of the time, right? So I forget a lot of things, right? So imagine just the shit that I got that I forgot. But anyway, my point is,
and you're absolutely right in terms of like money being the root of all evil. Listen, the attorneys that are actually defending bringing Icwa before the Supreme Court are big oil attorneys that are doing this pro bono. So they're not even asking to be paid to do this, right? And this, I think it's done. Don't quote me. I know the attorneys, the first like letter in the partner's name is done. If you guys check out, listen, if you guys don't follow Scarlet Morningstar, follow Scarlet Morningstar on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
She did a really good video with some resources and some background, some history and background information about Icwa and how this is really all threaded. It's part of one huge movement, and that movement is to eradicate indigenous people from Turtle Island. It's the same movement, it's the same end game, it's the same goal that, you know, Europeans and colonizers have had since first contact, since they first got here, since, you know, but
and let me tell you something else. So they tried the the overlay for the underplay move too, right? So listen, this is what they're doing out here in California. They're getting rid of cars, right? The objective right now is, I think it's 2035 or 2030 or something like that. They want internal combustion engines eradicated, outlawed in this state, right? Well, you can't drive them. You can own them, but you can't drive them. But let me ask you a question. My dad asked me this question, right? So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when we say that we're about to get rid of internal combustion engines? All that drilling's gonna stop. You know, the need for oil's gonna go down. Like the need for that shit's gonna go down, right? Absolutely not. Because what do you think they use to power these, to charge those cars? Fossil fuels. Absolutely. So once again, it isn't just a shot for our sovereignty specifically because they hate us. Listen, white people are white people, man. They chase the dollar, dude. That's what they go after. You know what I mean? Capitalism is their theology, it's their belief. You know, by any means necessary. White people are very individualistic. You know what I mean? When our people, I was just talking to this fella, man. He was talking about what it was like in tribal communities back in the day, and then I think about that as well, too, right? Like even right now, we all utilize each other, right? Somehow, some way, man, we got like a barter system going on. We got like, you know, I need some help. Can somebody give me a ride? I need somebody to shovel my driveway. I can't get out, elders. So I need somebody to shovel off my ramp or whatever, right? White folks don't get down like that. You know what I mean? So they don't care about eradicating an entire group of people so that they can secure their future, right? I saw something. I saw this video. I think somebody sent it to me. It might have been Mr. Valdez, but it said it was this video of this white lady, this fucking blonde-haired, blue-eyed white lady. You know what I'm talking about? Thanking Donald Trump for what did she say? I can't remember. I can't remember it.
Yeah, so she had a Freudian slip, right? While she was up there on the you know, at the
podium
front or whatever on the mic.
We're both high, and
she was thanking Donald Trump for the great win. What happened?
No, I said we're both high as fuck. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, yeah. She was thanking Donald Trump for the greatest win for white supremacy, which was the overturning of Roe v. Wade, right? And she was crediting Donald Trump for that end decision, right? Because obviously while he was in office, you know, anyway, we all know the shit show that was while he was in office in certain ways, right? So she was thanking him for positioning this great win for white supremacy, which was, you know, the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Well, I mean, think about that for a minute. You know, whose birth rates are going down?
Whose population is going down?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whose population numbers are going down? I guarantee they pay attention to shit like that. You know what I mean? And then so like it's all a means to an end. You know, so let's talk about something else too. I was on the phone with this fella, David Hill, right? If you guys don't know who he is, shame on you. Shame on you. Google him.
Yeah.
He's a cool fella, man. I like the guy. But so now this fella right here, he's been there the whole time. Like he was telling me stories about occupations. He listed the occupations that he's been in. And when he listed them, right, I knew, like, I wasn't disbelieving him anyway. I was just, in my mind, I know you're telling the truth because I read those cases. You know what I mean? When I was in the joint, I would read, I don't know how many cases I read about those guys. You know what I mean? But anyway, man.
So you were talking to David Hill and we were discussing.
Oh, talking about like activism and like the things that he was telling me about this 6-county, what was it? Wisconsin 6-county commissioners or something like that. And they were like, they did similar things, trying to take our sovereignty and stuff like that, or like trying to say that treaties were null and void or something like that, right? Like
they were trying to modernize the treaties.
Yeah, there you go. Trying to modernize the treaties, right? Well, that's the same thing. You know what I mean? But they were there to make their presence felt and to oppose it, right? But that's what I'm worried about. Like, I got a son, you know what I mean? And I don't want my son targeted. Baby, are you frozen?
I know.
It looks like it. Oh, there you go. There you go. The Wi-Fi is horrible. I don't know what's up with it, man. But anyway, man,
you don't want your son?
I don't want my son like having to worry about anything. You know what I mean? I don't want my son having to, you know, fight that fight. You know what I mean? Like, I want my son to have a good life, and I want his children to have good lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what we need to think about. There's so many of us that have assimilated. You know, we're really about, like, I'm included in this, make no mistake, capitalism. Like, I'm trying to get that. I'm chasing that dollar down too. You know, like, I'm all about that money too. But, you know, we need to think about our people. We need to think about our future. I remember I used to talk a lot about thinking 7 generations ahead. That's an Anishinaabe ideology, right? And when you stop and you think, right, when you move like that, when you think like that, and you try to, you know, structure your life in such a way, right, it really opens you up to see, like, just like different things and different answers and like, or different potential issues. You know what I mean? And when you really think about our people, man, you know, I get worried sometimes. You know what I mean? Not to say that good things ain't happening, because, you know, one thing, there's like this huge influx in being Native right now, right? So now is when the time that we need to harness this, and we need to come together and unite so that we can make a difference at the voting polls or at Washington, D.C. Or if it fucking comes down to it, man, like, just get nasty with the cops. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Some of the people that you see on TikTok, like,
listen.
Man, listen.
Listen. So listen, I guess this is like the main takeaway, right? Is there is so much that we really need to be worrying about right now. You know, so many issues that are real life issues, right? Real life issues. These are Native babies that we're talking about with Icwa, right? Listen, before all this happened or not before, but, you know, pre, you know, the Supreme Court looking at Icwa this week, pre the overturning of Roe versus Wade, I just saw there was another piece of legislation where the Supreme Court made it legal for police to enter your home without a warrant if you were within 50 miles or 100 miles of any border. So, you know, Canada, Mexico, if you're in Texas, if you're in any border state, if you were within 100 miles of that border, the police or the, you know, whatever, you know, law enforcement agency can make entry into your home without a warrant. Think about that for a minute. You know, and then, so there's that. And then you couple in the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And then you couple in now Icwa going before the Supreme Court. You know, all of these things are coming to a head, right? And they're starting to play into the grand narrative, that one that we've already known. You know what I'm saying? The federal government and the entire structure of this nation was never meant for us. It was never for us. It wasn't for us to thrive. It wasn't structured with us in mind.
There's literally documentation of that too.
Yeah. None of this was for us. Our people lived a certain way. Our people communed with the land. Our people respected where we got our nourishment from. Our people respected each other. You know, all of these things, right? Sure, were things perfect all the time? I'm sure they weren't, right? But we had community, and we had elders, and we had teachings, and we had skills to deal with conflicts, right? In ways that bettered both sides. You know what I mean? In ways that benefited both sides. You know, there was learning, there was teaching. It was a very like balanced way. And I heard, so earlier OSHA said he was on with David Hill, and I heard part of that conversation, and in which, you know, David says, you know, we measured wealth by how much you could give to somebody, how much you could give away, not how much you had, not how much you accumulated. You know, you were a wealthy man, a comfortable person based on how much you were able to part with. how much you were able to give away, you know? And that's the frame of mind. Those concepts are what we need to come back to. So all of this petty back and forth shit, right, on social media about, these, I don't know, like these whole, it's really, it's interesting because sometimes you see some of these posts and it's whole stakeouts. Like there's month-long screenshots of conversations that happened half a year ago that are putting up in June that had saved since November, and you're like,
Baby, you're breaking up really bad.
Am I? Let me see. Let me try and get back on the Wi-Fi.
But this is my thing, right? Like I understand like the community and the good feelings that you get, especially if you're not, if you don't hail from a tribal community, or like that's not something you're familiar with, right? But yet you're indigenous, right? But the thing is, though, is for me, I think the more valuable person is the one that you share space with. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got friends on here that we have every intention of coming to make a presence felt with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to say something else too, man. Let me throw something out there. Listen, I told you guys this before, and I know I got a hot head. I got an anger problem, right? But I say this to Maya, just because I don't want you eating at my table doesn't mean I don't want to see you eat. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people get the misunderstanding that because I don't think the way that you think, or I don't move the way that you do, right, that I oppose you, and I don't. Listen, man, it takes all kinds to make this world go around, baby. You know what I mean? Like, we all have value. Every last one of us has value. I'm not quick to throw a person away. Like if somebody treats me like shit, like I'll allow them around me. I might not let them get close to me and be part of my inner circle, but I'll allow them around me. Like I still take, we'll still chop it up. We'll still talk. Like if somebody needs, I'll always be there for everybody, right? That's just how I get down, right? And I think that, I learned that from my uncles and stuff like that. I was talking to David Hill about like, the community, the type of community that I was raised in, right? My grandfather, he lived in a clapboard house, he had an outhouse, he had running water, and he had like a refrigerator and a stove and stuff like that, right? But my grandfather was an old man out there busting his ass, chopping up wood and stuff like that to stay warm. And the thing is, though, is like, I complain about every damn thing, man. I hate where I'm at right now, man. We live literally off a main thoroughfare, and it drives me nuts, right? But my grandfather, my uncles, they wouldn't act like that. They didn't complain. They come over there and get drunk all the time. You know what I mean? They just like, that's the kind of community that you want. You know what I mean? Like, you think you like that on TikTok, man. Wait till you start meeting people and you start getting involved. You know what I mean? There's more there's more value in occupying a physical space, right? When it comes to fighting for our issues and things like that, than talking about and slandering people and shit like that on social media. And another thing I want to point out to you too, right, is let that be a testament to the type of person that you're listening to. You know what I mean? Like, man, I've been hearing all kinds of groups getting slandered for whatever the reasons may be, right? But when we do that, David Hill was talking about how good the Europeans were at divide and conquer, and that's one of the ways that they was able to, overcome us, right? Well, that's the truth. Look what's going on right now. You know what I mean? Once again, it goes back to what I initially said. Just because I see things a different way, or just because I do things a different way than you know what I mean? I'm a able-bodied man. So when it comes to fighting MMIW, I heard people complaining about that I was boots on ground oriented, that I kicked doors in and stuff like that. Man, listen, I'm going to tell you something. I've done that shit, right? And there ain't no complaints. I was just talking to a friend about it a couple of weeks ago. You know what I mean? We was reminiscing on that. Man, listen, you find value when you see somebody find values in you, finds value in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That true value, man, that's that stuff like you spend time with people. That's, I don't know, man. Like, and then like, just stop hurting people all the time. Like, why does everybody got to be so mean? I don't understand that. Like, this just like, you guys go for the juggler. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys have no chill, none. You know what I mean? And if somebody was to dig into your closet, right, which I've done, because I love this thing behind me, man, that computer and that TV, boy, I'll tell you what, But I mean, you guys don't want that shit out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, why would you go and just and do that? Like, I know that Mia is not a great person. Like, you know what I mean? You won't get me to argue on her behalf for nothing, right? But I'm going to tell you something, man. The way her friends twisted and turned around on her so quickly, right? Like we see that too often, man. We can't be like that. We got to learn to love each other and learn to cherish each other and find value in one another. Like that's the thing, man. If we don't find value in ourselves, then it's going to be a tight fight. So we got some healing to do. Let me say something else too, man. That kind of David Hill was telling me about like what it was like that the Indians back in the day, they had to live in constant fear because they worried that they was going to get shot for that land when those land races were going on and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
used to be legal out here in California to shoot Indians. They get paid I think it was 5 cents for a scalp for
Yep.
and then there's like a quarter or something like that, or 10, I can't remember, but they got paid to kill us, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about generational trauma. Now we need to stop and think, like feel what it's like, right? What does this generational trauma stem from, right? We were treated horribly over here. Our ancestors were so disrespected, right? And they still were proud through this whole thing. You know what I mean? Our people continued to fight no matter what, right? They didn't get down and dirty and treat each other like garbage and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I wish that people would consider what we've been through, right? As people, even though we personally haven't been through it, maybe we didn't, kill Custer. We didn't have to worry about getting killed over our land or anything like that. Maya was talking to me yesterday or the day before yesterday about how that trauma, however, it leaves a marker. You told me that it left a genetic marker.
It does.
In
It
the DNA.
mutates our DNA. That is literally carried in our DNA. It's been scientifically proven. Trauma, particularly, generational traumas, leave physiological imprints in our DNA. And so it literally alters us physiologically. So
Like, how many of you guys just feel like you just be sad, man? Just like day's good, the world's good, and like you're sad, like you're just like you don't know why. Like you go months like that, right? And I think that's part of what our generational trauma comes from. I know a lot of natives, man, that have PTSD, right? And they show signs of PTSD, right? And I mean, they work at the casino. They work at this casino. They got their job. They take care of the babies, whatever, right? You wouldn't think there'd be any reason to have PTSD, but generational trauma is a thing. And the reason that I talk about this is because, listen, I tell my friends all the time, man, my friends, my loved ones, I don't care, man. You got to love yourself before you can love anybody else, right? I've been on this kick right lately about trying to improve people's self-esteem, right? Because when we can start healing ourselves, we can start helping others heal, right? And then we can come together and we can fight shit like this that we're dealing with right now. And I mean, I don't know what anybody else's opinion is, but I'm worried for my future generations. I'm worried for my son's babies. You know what I mean? I'm worried for my son, to be completely honest with you, because if they do go back to, if they do take these millennial steps backwards, right? Then I mean, who's to say it's not going to be cool to go around shooting Indians again? You know what I'm saying? Like they're out here in California beating up Asians because it's a fucking fad. I wish I would see somebody hit one of the little old women, man. I swear to God, man.
I know. I know.
But we need to think about healing, and what it means to heal, and like how can we heal? You can't heal when you're just like constantly being negative, when you're constantly talking shit about people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not perfect. I'll be talking bad shit, dude. I'm a shit talker, man. I'll be talking about people that walk across the street. I don't care.
He is not lying. He is not lying.
But the thing is, though, is like we have to heal, man. Like that's gonna all this is generationally, put on us. So why would we want to continue this pattern and this cycle and let this continue on for our future generations, right? Like let's break the cycle. You know what I mean? You ain't got to talk to me. I don't want to talk to you 9 times out of 10, right? So like, and then we just go all our separate ways. And you guys should be like that with everybody. All this infighting and stuff like that is completely unnecessary because we're all trying to achieve the same goal. And we just want equality, man. We just wanted to be we just want to be treated like some white folks. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
want the white people dream without the white folks' problems. That's what
That's
I
right.
say.
That's right. And we really have to be the example, right? As it is, our oppressors, right? Our oppressors built this entire country on oppressing the people that were already here, on, the genocide of the indigenous populations of the Western Hemisphere, right? All of these, countries were established and built on the blood of indigenous people. But look at the way we're treating each other. You know what I mean? Look at how we're treating each other. We're literally being an example of hatred toward each other. And there's so many things that we need to be focused on. These cases that are coming up against the Supreme Court that are literally ripping any form of sovereignty that was fought for with blood, sweat, and tears by our elders, right? By our warriors, by the men that really, the men that came together as well and founded the American Indian movement. And
Men like David Hill.
All of these strides. Go ahead.
No, I said men like David Hill.
Men like David Hill, men like Russell Means, men like Dennis Banks. You know what I mean? Men that literally were willing to put their lives on the line.
Like Leonard Peltier, who's been in prison, right? Like, don't forget about that. Like, let's not forget about, their proverbial head on the stake right there in the town square, right? Or right when you come into town. That's how they used to do it. Yeah. That's literally what that is right now, right? That's and I was talking to David Hill earlier about that. And I told him, I said, just to be honest with you, I didn't mean to be disrespectful, but I told him, just to be honest with you, man, like, I don't really plan on talking a whole lot about Mr. Peltier. Like, they got a whole book club that's dedicated to it, right? And I didn't plan on talking a whole lot about it, right? And then he hit me with something, right? He made me stop and think, right? I love elders, man, I swear. But he made me stop and think. He was like, anytime you talk about any Indian issues, man, you're talking about Leonard Peltier. Yep. You know what I mean? So let's talk about Leonard Peltier and the injustices that he went through, and talk about it with your friends, talk about it with your family, talk about it with your fucking congressman. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about it. Like, make no mistake, understand that Mr. Peltier is not just some, a political prisoner. He's not just someone that was wrongfully imprisoned and has been in prison for like 47 years or something like that. If that's not the exact amount of years, sorry, but it's up there. It's like in the mid-high 40 years that he's been in prison. And this isn't just, just some guy that was involved in some political movement and ended up becoming a political prisoner. It's so much more than that. Leonard Peltier is literally the living embodiment of the oppression that Indigenous people have been subject to since first contact. Leonard Peltier is literally that person that's, like OSHA said, is marched in the middle of the square and thrown fruit at, or putting, those shackle things all night long. Like, he's the face, he's the threat, he's what the federal government hangs over every brown person's head, right? Every Native person's head, in terms of, oh, you want to get out of line, oh, you want to fight for some rights, oh, you want to demand tribal sovereignty, oh, you want individual autonomy, oh, you want self-determination, oh, you want access to healthcare, oh, sorry, you want to move out of a food desert, oh, my bad, you need help with substance abuse in your area, sorry, are your women going missing? He's literally the living and breathing embodiment and representation of what the federal government will do to any Indigenous person that attempts to fight for their rights. So freeing Leonard Peltier from prison is quite literally liberation in many ways for our people. It is giving us a chance at freedom, right? And Mr. Peltier's cause comes into the public arena in so many ways, like not only through this amazing book club that I have to shout out our sister Kim. I think she's in here. I think it's not her name, but I think it's her because it's the book club. Our amazing sister Kim started this book club to bring awareness to Mr. Peltier. And when she started this book club, it was literally a handful of people. Our sister had a handful of people to work with. If you join this book club now, you are literally you can't even count all the cameras, all the people in the book club anymore. She has had some of the most high profile people join and be a part of. She just had Ruth Buffalo, who I believe is the senator of North Dakota, or the state representative of North Dakota, just joined, I believe. She's had David Hill on there. She's about to have Mr. Hill on again on the 7th. She's had movie producers on there. She's got Chase Iron Eyes coming on soon. She's had these high profile, really important people in Indian country that have something important to say. And she's been able to get them to come to this group, and also trying to bring awareness to this cause that Mr. Peltier's got out in terms of, his food forest movement. Sorry, babe, go ahead.
I got a quick question. I'm just curious, right? You named off all these great people, man. I'm wondering why I didn't hear Mia Stegall or Alexis Faith in there. Did she not? Did they don't want no part of it, or they didn't want to be part of this movement, or she didn't reach out to them?
That's a good question.
Because these are all very important people, right? These are all people that have made impact in Indian country, right? So these people are, I didn't see him. I was there. Well, you was there.
Yeah.
Was you there? I was there.
I was there. I've been there. So listen, and we recognize and we realize, right? Everybody has a part to play. Everybody supports in their own way. Everybody is present in their own way. Everybody tries to get these issues out into the public arena in their own way. Not everyone's going to lace up boots and put their, mask on and go out there to the protest. Not everyone is going to, you go out there and do direct action in terms of, making things known, set things on fire, like occupy buildings. Not everyone is built for that, and that's okay. But you know what? Write your congressmen, write your senators, write your representatives, find organizations near where you live and volunteer your time. Look for elders that you can visit during the day, that you can spend some time with. Our elders a lot of times don't have people that hang out with them, that talk to them. They
got some awesome stories too. Let me tell you, man. Listen, I tell you, I'd rather hang out with an elder any day of the week, man. Because, man, listen, and nobody tells a story like an old person. Let's just keep that shit real.
That's true. That's true. So there are tons of ways that you can get involved and you can make a change, or you can be a part of that change, man. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be all of that. Sometimes it just has to be, maybe you reach out to someone that you feel like needs someone to talk to for a minute. Maybe you check on someone who's been having a hard time. Hey, how are you doing today? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Like, something that small could mean so much to someone. And here's the other thing is, when you give of yourself like that, when you actually become that example, it feeds you, like it nourishes you. It starts to heal you.
Can I get everybody has a amen up in here, goddamn it.
Everybody has a healing journey, right?
Hell yeah.
Everybody has a healing journey. So what does yours look like? You know what I mean? That stuff starts to heal you. And so it's really in everybody's best interest to do that. Aim is a verb, not a noun. Yes, absolutely. Aim
is a verb and not a noun. Hey, listen, I got all kinds of shade to throw, right? I just want to throw one thing out there real quick, though. Think about this, man. What you put in your mind, right? Like what you got rolling around up there all day, what you think about, right? Think about how you feel if you was to think about the good stuff. If you was to say prayers for people, right? Just today I found myself, it was a rough morning, man. I deal with a lot of shit, man. I got a lot of private stuff going on that I don't talk to people about except for Maya, right? And, I miss my son a lot. I really miss my son, man. And I was just sitting there just like really thinking about him, right? And just like, I just started praying for my baby. You know what I mean? And it put me in a different space. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, like, when you get down like that, or when you feel like you want to be a piece of shit to somebody, maybe you want to pray for that person instead of attack them, right? I'm not saying that's what I do all the time, because it's not, man. I'd rather hit you than pray for you, to be honest
And
with
we're
you, right?
human. We're human, right? So that initial reaction, that instinct, that like to be aggressive about stuff, that's you're human, you know?
I think one reason that we call our medicine, right, is because it has healing properties to it, right? A lot of people look at that stuff like witchcraft and stuff like that, right? And I'm not like, I like I said, I've said this a million times. I didn't grow up around ceremony. My mom was a Christian. That's what she stuck to. She thought that shit was satanic and all that stuff, man. So it didn't, until when I got out is when I really started learning about it, right? But when you think about the psychological effect that it has on you, right? Like praying for people, right? Listen, until you do it and make it a regular part of your life, like you can't really explain it. But that is what medicine is. I think. I think. I don't know. I'm not a medicine man. Listen, I'm not no healer or nothing like that. I'm just a dude, right? I'm just a fella, man. But when you think about it from a psychological point of perspective, right? When you sit and you pray with people or pray for people, right? It's healing, and it puts you in a whole different place. And one thing I do know for a fact about Indian country, right, is our elders talk a lot about prayer. Our elders talk a lot about, smudging or putting tobacco down. I don't know how many times people were pounding my head, whether it was an elder, whether it was a friend, whether it was like I got like a healer is a friend, and he tells me all the time, like, put your tobacco down. When I call people to deal with, like, maybe talk to them about something, put your tobacco down, right? And they're telling me to say my prayers. You know what I mean? Praying for people will put you in a completely different mind frame instead of sitting there shitting on somebody because you just got all kinds of mean shit inside you, and or you have mean shit happen to you, or you didn't get your way or whatever, right? Big fucking whoops. Another thing too, that's another thing that our people don't do, right? Is we don't target and attempt to destroy another Native organization, such as Mia Staygold and Rachel Thunder's organization tried to do, right? I heard the message. You know what I'm saying? And this is because listen, man, let me tell you something, man. If there is anything I would hate to see, and that's a shitty leader. These are representatives of our people, right? They're out there supposedly trying to fight for our rights. How in the actual fuck do you fight for our rights while you try to take us down at the same time? Another what was the name of it? I can't remember. You remember
Who?
the name of that
Apa
organization?
Chicana?
Yeah, what's her thing in Indiana or whatever? Like
Oh, I'm not sure.
Indian Center or something like that. I
Yeah,
can't
I
remember.
believe it is the Indian Center, but I don't know if it's the American Indian Center, because I know it's really close to AIM, like American Indian Movement. It sounds like it's really close in name.
But the point is, like, these people are trying to create resources, right? They're trying to spread resources. Listen, drugs is a huge issue in Indian country, man. Our people deal with drug issues, substance abuse problems all day long. With the
Yeah,
introduction of
Indian Center.
meth, fucking heroin, and fentanyl now, like our people are dying. Like I just found out one of my friends is brain dead. They're just waiting to unplug her now. Like I just found this out. Super not cool. You know what I mean? Like this is not. I hate calling home in here and stuff like this. And I don't know how many friends died over these last couple of years, man, because of overdoses. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but we're about to jump off here though, man, because I'm getting irritated.
Yeah. Before we go, the Tate Wakua book club, the one that Kimberly is organizing, or that she co-organizes with Dawn, they're going to meet on July 7th at 7 p.m. David Hill will be the honored guest that evening. So if you're not a part of the book club, if you haven't been out to the book club, you haven't done the Zooms, look for that particular group. Look for the Tate Wakua Book Club on Facebook. Add them, message Kim, let her know you want to be a part of the book club, you want to join, and she'll get you all the information you need. Also, the Leonard Peltier Food Forest Movement, plant a food/fruit bearing tree to keep our Mother Earth living and breathing. She gives us so much. We should be grateful children of hers, right? She feeds us, she nourishes us. We have our waters, our lakes, our rivers, our food, everything, right? So that's
Us,
one of
shit.
the what's that?
Us, we're all water.
Us, right? Yeah. That's one of the movements as well that's connected to Elder Leonard Peltier and his fight to get out of prison. Also, Right the White House. I think, hey, Kim, can you drop in the chat real quick where to call and write to ask for clemency for Leonard Peltier?
While she's doing that, let me say this too, right? And if you guys plant trees, right? I don't berry trees, whatever, fruit bearing trees, whatever, right? If you guys plant anything, first of all, that's generational, right? Second of all, another thing I want you to think about, food sovereignty. Like, that's another thing. Listen, ultimately, we don't want nothing to do with the United States. Like, fuck them. If we was to become sovereign, water sovereign, food sovereign, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be so much better for us. So every time you do plant something, I was talking to this one fella. I got this buddy, man, that I don't know where the fuck he lives, somewhere downstate, right? But he was talking to me about how he used to go into him and his friends and stuff would go in like rundown communities, right? And they would start building those gardens that raise gardens or whatever, like they're in beds and they're like in, you know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah, they're about 2 or 3 feet off the ground or something, full of dirt and stuff like that. Right. Yeah. And how they would go around doing stuff like that. See, and do it. Do it. Like, get some homies together, man. Couple of 2x4s, couple pieces of plywood and a handful of nails, right? And then there you go, man. Chilling, having a beer, maybe a little grill or something like that, man. Kicking it with the homies. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want community, man, create a community. You know what I mean? And continue to fight. Let every fight that you fight better our position, right? That includes stop shitting on everybody. I'm out of here, man.
Yep.
Oh, also, we'll be back to. Can you plug us for me? Can you do the plug like David Hill and all that?
Yes, we will be back next Saturday. Are we going to try and shoot for next Saturday? So we are going to try to shoot for next Saturday with the one and only Mr. David Hill.
Like us, give us a like, and hit the subscribe button. You guys share
videos. Subscribe, like us. Tell your friends on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram that these like really crazy TikTok. Native people.
We do not care. Listen, show up in our lives. We don't care, man, because you ain't gonna get us, man. Ha!
Right?
Report that.
Also, before I go, look up the Lakota People's Project on Facebook. You'll get a bunch of resources and information about how to protect Icwa. Look up at Scarlet Morningstar on TikTok. There's a link there for a petition that you guys can sign, all 4 of you, and then the 100,000 of you that are going to end up seeing this video later. Y'all look up Scarlet Morningstar. Look up the Lakota People's Project on Facebook. Sign the petition to protect Icwa. We're going to keep talking about it. I'm sure this issue will come up again next week, along with the multitude of issues that seem never ending for us, right? All over Turtle Island. So we love you guys.
We're gonna have David. Don't forget, we're gonna have David Hill too. So listen, I want, if you're a fellow, right? I really want you to show up, because I want you to listen to somebody that's been there and that's been in the trenches, right? Like, if you think you're gangster, right? Like, I want you to measure yourself up against this fella right here. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you something, man. I've been through a lot of shit on the res, right? And I sat there and I listened to that, man. I can't fuck with him. I can't mess with him, dude. He's got me beat. You know what I mean? And I respect that. That means I got some more shit I need to learn.
Yeah, there is something to be said for being in the presence of giants, right? And when you have someone that you can learn from that's been through all of these things, that has that insight and experience, that lived experience that informs the way that he moves today, it's awesome. It's like a whole nother level, right? So we're eternally grateful, obviously, to him, to Kim. We love you all, and we hope to see you guys next Saturday. Bye, guys.